So beyond these four main dimensions of diversity, gender, race, age, and disability, I dig deeper. And I realized that there are secondary dimensions of diversity that are just as important, if not more important, than the primary ones. For example, we still deal with cultural differences, especially for a nation like this that receives immigrants. We have language barriers, definitely. Think about all the Hispanic population, a percentage of which does not speak English, even though they've been living in the States for decades. And any other secondary dimension of diversity you could think of, including religion. I even created a module in my diversity program that deals with the human search for the divine from an international perspective. Because not only all these languages that I've been exposed to and the cultures and the people that speak the languages, but they also worship in a certain way, right? So I identified similarities, and I was able to put together like a blueprint of what major religions, if not all of them, have in common. And this is something I want to focus on with the people who are courageous enough to actually schedule this training or consulting session with their teams, because people tend to shy away from it because it's a controversial topic. Understandable. But if they want to take that courageous, bold step, I have something for them too, and I can look at the divine and the human search for it from an international perspective. Beyond that, secondary dimensions can also mean health and financial status, social status, you name it, anything, geography, biology, personal background. So there's a little bit of everything. So when you equate diversity with just racial diversity, like I said, it's a very narrow perspective. And I want to make sure that we clarify this, that diversity is everything and everyone, because we are all unique in a certain way. We just have to find a common ground.
I think I kind of got that slammed in my face one time. I was at this training, and most of us were approximately the same age. And I said, back when we were kids and we were growing up, and, I went on with the way my background was. And this lady looked at me and she goes, "You have no idea what I went through when I grew up." And she shared her story, because we were all sharing our stories. And she, and it was like, oh my gosh, I should never assume that just because somebody seems like they're similar to me, that they really are. Because we all have different experiences, we have different backgrounds, we have different, ideas that we grew up with, and, different influences in our lives. And so we all are diverse. And so I think you're so right. It's not just a racial thing like most people go to. It's diversity is so many things. I remember my son's a type 1 diabetic. And I remember one time talking to his coach in basketball, because he was being somewhat discriminated against because he had to test his blood sugars and sometimes take, like have Gatorade during a game because his blood sugar was dropping. And it was like, you are discriminating against him for something he has no control. He can't control that, so I think there's a lot of times where we just have to really look at diversity in a different way, like you're saying. I totally agree with what you're doing.
Totally. And to segue into what I was saying earlier, this program is aimed to actually protect businesses from potential lawsuits, because annually, I was looking at some statistics, workplace discriminations cases amount to colossal amounts, between 500 million and 1 billion annually, that it costs US firms alone. Just because we turn our head and look the other way and do away with diversity from our programs and curriculum, that doesn't mean diversity is going to go away. And that still leaves the businesses vulnerable to potential lawsuits. Now, you have another thing. Not only you can avoid this type of business loss, but by promoting diverse teams, you can actually help your bottom line and your revenues, because statistics and studies also showed engaged and diversified teams bring in a lot of creativity and innovation, which translates in a dollar amount up to 50% or more, anywhere from 5% to 50% plus, depending on which business you're in. So protect your business from lawsuits, promote diverse team members and teams, and position your business for greater success and higher revenues. These are the three pillars. This is why I want to encourage people to look into this program. And beside that is just the human factor. Why don't we want to learn about each other so we know each other better?
You know, I think this discussion we're having today just fits in with the whole idea of the Win-Win Women Network, because it is, you know, we are going after that diversity. We're going after women of the whole world. You know, we're trying to help all women, no matter where they are, to be empowered and to, you know, be successful in their own area. And so I think this whole discussion just fits in very nicely with some of the objectives of the business for the Win-Win Women.
Thank you. I'm glad, because it's everything converges at some point. There are mutual grounds for just about anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, in fact, I know that the owner of the Win-Win Women, she has an outreach to women of the world, and, you know, doing speaking and doing things like that to help